Hello and welcome to episode 60 of the SquareXO podcast. This week I'm your host, Dan. I'm joined by Rebecca.
Hello.
And Nicole.
Hello.
And Dan. Hello. So welcome back everyone. Hope you've had a good few weeks of sunshine, enjoyed the bank holidays and kind of all that stuff. Hope you don't feel too guilty for gaming indoors whilst the weather's been good. I couldn't really bring myself to sit in front of the telly whilst it was sunny, so yeah. What about you guys? You played much or have you been sunbathing?
Revising.
Okay.
I revise at a window, so I still see the sun.
Yeah.
It's just I'm not in the sun.
That sounds like really like I feel sorry for you.
Yeah, play the sad piano music.
It's so nearly done that I can sit in the sun. It'll probably rain, after I finish. It'll just rain.
Crap
constantly.
summer, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, this is episode 60 of SquareXO. So we've made it to another milestone, which is great. If you're a first-time listener, don't forget you can follow us, or don't forget, if you're a first-time listener, you won't have remembered. You can go to Twitter and follow us at @square_XO. We've got our website, which is www.squarexo.co.uk. We are on YouTube. I think you have to search for SquareXO. We're on Twitch. We're on patreon.com/SquareXO. And that's everything, I think. If I've forgotten, someone else can fill in.
We are also on Discord, Reddit, and Facebook. Discord is on our Twitter page and just search for us on the others.
So yeah, that's the kind of the admin out of the way. I will just quickly say sorry we've not been around for the past few weeks, but with birthdays and university and work, we've just kind of found it hard to all find a time when we can sit down and record, but we've managed today, so thanks for listening. We would have Joe starting with the news usually, but as you can tell he's not here, so I'm going to crack on. Rob has kindly provided us with a nice long email of what's been happening since we've been gone, so I shall start with the news. The first bit is that there's an Onrush open beta which starts on Thursday the 17th. What do you guys think of Onrush? Anybody care?
No interest.
I played it at EGX Res this year, and I do think it's quite interesting because it's sort of a little bit of a spin on the classic racing, where obviously you're all fighting against each other. But for me, racing games aren't sort of the main attraction, so I feel like I'm in one of those things where I'll just let it happen, and hopefully the people who are looking forward to it, they enjoy it. But what I played was good, but I'm not chomping at the bit to play any more, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, so it's by the guys that made MotorStorm and Drive Club, so it comes from a kind of a well-esteemed driving stable. I never played MotorStorm, but I really, really liked Drive Club. But I think the reason I didn't play MotorStorm and the fact I liked Drive Club is because one is kind of proper road racing and the other's off-road racing. And so you're right there, Nick.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say, I just wanted to ask you a question, because I keep meaning to ask you this every time you bring up Drive Club.
Okay.
But where did your kind of interest lie with it? Because from what I saw about it, because I was initially quite intrigued, but from what I read, it was just a bit like it didn't have it was kind of, its focus was quite widely spread.
Yeah. The driving was just almost perfect. So I think it launched with a lot of server issues and possibly not much content. I can't quite remember. It was a few years ago, but what was there at the start was just a solid driving game. It looked really nice and it just played really well. So I kind of, a bit like with No Man's Sky and how much I liked that, I could kind of look past that kind of stuff that other people get hung up on maybe, and just saw it for what it was at the time it was released. And obviously they've added loads and improved it as time went on, but at its core, at its heart, it was just a really good, like the handling and the kind of the mechanics and even things like the menu system and stuff. It was just a really good game. So
yeah,
it didn't stray too far to try and be over the top like Burnout or try and do too many clever things in the actual gameplay itself. It was just a very good driving game.
Yeah.
So that's why I think I liked it so much. I'm quite a fan of driving in real life, so they kind of managed to translate that into a video game quite well. It was heavily marred with issues, but like I say, I think if you could look past those issues, there was a good game there. So hopefully Onrush doesn't suffer from a similar birth to that Drive Club did, and that it gets off to a good start. But I don't know, for me, the setting of it just it doesn't put it on my radar either, to be honest. So be interesting to see what people think of the beta. I know Joe was interested, so I'm sure he can tell us about it when he plays it, but yeah, I probably won't be. Next bit of news is that Warriors Orochi 4 has been announced.
Such elegance and grace! How beautiful!
So this is a bit niche, a bit left field, but then that's Rob for you. So I don't know if you guys play any of the Dynasty Warriors games or the other Warriors Orochi games. They're basically, I can't remember the actual term for it off the top of my head, but basically you're one character with a weapon slashing hundreds of enemies in order to kind of take over that area on a map, and you kind of spread out and take over the map. So it's quite a good mind-numbing game. You can just bash the buttons and kill hundreds of enemies. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, rack up huge combos. I mean, the games have got very big followings. They're done by Tecmo Koei. So, you know, this is Warriors Orochi 4. I think they're on Dynasty Warriors 9. So there's a big lot of games. So yeah. He's put in red with 2 arrows. It's very exciting. So everyone needs to be excited about that. The next bit of news is Reverie for PS4 is going live tomorrow at a lower price. So this, I think, was originally on Vita.
Yeah.
It was. Did you play it, Nick? Or because I think Rob reviewed it, didn't he?
He did, yeah. And I was very intrigued by it because it looked like a kind of Vita game that I could kind of sink a lot of hours into. But then obviously when I heard about the cross-buy thing, it was like, you know, I'll wait for it. But it looks really good. I mean, Rob's written the review on it, so you know, if you want to see if you're intrigued, just check it out there. But it's it looks really, really good.
Yeah, I'm interested too. And now the fact that it's cheaper and with cross-buy, I kind of think I'll jump on at some point.
Yeah.
So he's also put in red that means there's 2 platinums now. So a bit like with Oceanhorn, it means the trophy lists are separate, so you can play it on both systems and kind of double up.
He said they're quite easy as well, apparently. So
happy days for people like me, which is good. Incidentally, I've been designing trophy images today for an unannounced, unreleased game at the moment. So that would be very exciting to be able to earn my own trophies. But I can't really talk about much because I'm under NDA. What he has put as well with Reverie is because it's going down in price, if you have already bought it at the higher price, you can look at their Twitter, which is @Rainbite, and that gives you information to get a free theme if you've already paid more than what it will be as of tomorrow. So that's nice of them. Next bit is Stardew Valley has been announced for PS Vita.
Finally!
So yeah, I know that there's been a bit of Twitter chatter and messaging about it, so it's a bit late though, isn't it?
I don't know.
I thought about that, you know. Yeah. I'm still excited, but I did think, oh, okay, now? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It should have been there first. I think it's so well suited for handheld more so than the PS4. So I can't understand why it didn't make a Switch and Vita release first. But I mean, I'm just happy it's going to be there because taking that game everywhere is going to have me in my element.
Yeah. Oh. I've still not played it. I know that everyone's been kind of eulogising over it and saying how good it is, but I don't know. Is there like a narrative to it, or is it just an endless farming simulator?
It does have a bit of a narrative.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's got like a little story. You can follow like story missions alongside kind of doing like mini kind of quests to help the people in your village kind of thing. So it has got it there. It's a bit like, it's very much like Harvest Moon.
Right.
I feel like the farming bit though is so addictive that you just spend all your time doing that.
Yeah. A bit like Animal Crossing then.
Yeah, exactly like that.
Yeah. I'm just not sure if I can invest more time into something along with everything else. Like I don't want to get hooked on picking carrots if I've got like God of War to finish and stuff.
If it means anything, it's not going to feel like hours. You're going to play it and it's going to be like a day will go by in the blink of an eye and you'll be like, oh my gosh, what's happened?
Yeah, I miss those days. Cool. Rage 2's been announced. don't even remember a first one being released, so I don't really know what to expect of Rage 2. It's being developed by Avalanche Games, who created Mad Max and Just Cause, so it's again coming from a decent studio. Trailer looks mental.
Is it an open world?
Sadly, yes.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but
That's quite good. Got quite a kind of Borderlands-y kind of vibe. So I might pick it up. I don't think I'll be rushing to do it, but like it does look like something that would entice me. So
yeah, I quite like the fact that the marketing's been a bit over the top for it. It's, they're kind of pushing it out there. I don't know when the release is. I've seen
2019,
I was going to say,
wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. So it's a little way off. I don't know. For me, it's one of those games that's just going to be lost in the mire of everything else. But hey, someone will buy it, I'm sure.
They will.
The Council episode part 2 is out now. So this is another game that Rob's reviewed on the site and given lots of praise to. We were included on their Accolade trailer as well, so that was nice of them to include us. But I've not played it. It does look good, and I am intrigued. But again, it's just another game to add to the list.
Yeah.
But Rob reckons it's, if you like Telltale games with strong narratives, then it's definitely something that people should buy and be interested in. I kind of think I'd probably wait until all parts are out. Like, I think we've had this discussion before about episodic gaming.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's out now if you've got the season pass. So jump on that. And finally, we've got the news. So God of War is still number 1. So that's 4 weeks now.
Where is Grand Theft Auto?
Okay, yeah, let's start with Grand Theft Auto Watch. Let's do it. Where do you think it is? Oh, you know where it is because you've got the email, so that's a rubbish game to play.
I've not looked at it yet.
Where do you think it is?
Is it like
6 or something?
Oh, Nick, you cheat.
Oh no, I didn't even look, I promise.
Yeah.
God, it's still in top 10.
It's
That's
9th,
crazy.
so it's gone up from 12th last week to 9th, which is, maddening. So God of War's number 1, as it was last week. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze is number 2, as it was last week. Far Cry 5 is number 3, as it was last week. And FIFA 18 is number 4, as it was last week. So pretty much nothing has changed. The only change, which is really odd, is Fallout 4 is 5th.
That's weird.
What?
That came out in 2015.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, if it's on sale, or maybe it's on sale somewhere. Yeah, very odd, very odd.
That's very strange.
So yeah, that makes up the top 5, and then Grand Theft Auto 5 Watch, that's number 9. So it's still hanging in there. I do wonder whether Red Dead Redemption 2 will be in the charts for as long as what Grand Theft Auto 5 is. It's got to be a record for a game being in the top 20.
It's incredible when you think about it, isn't it? Well, Grand Theft Auto is the best-selling piece of media, isn't it now?
That's true, yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
So
crazy. But, well, congratulations to Rockstar, I suppose, for getting that accolade. But, yeah. Weird. Anyway, that's the end of the news anyway, so thanks, Rob. Very helpful, and I hope that we haven't missed too much of the big stuff off since we've been gone. And if anyone wants to have their say on Rush or Stardew Valley, then get involved on Twitter with us. So, yeah, thanks. Let's move on to our topic, shall we?
All right, so in light of God of War coming out, when I thought of this topic...
Yeah, 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about video game companions, especially those who accompany you on your journey. They either help you or, in most cases, hinder you. So I've not played God of War, but I thought of a few companions who have driven me up the wall, or I've been like, oh, I'm really glad they're here to help me. So you guys are still a little bit unsure, so I'll start with what I've got, and then we'll feed into it all together. So I think that I've predominantly had a bad run-in with video game companions. I really struggle to think of instances where I've played a game, seen that, I'm going to be accompanied throughout the game and thought, oh, that's amazing. That's made me feel really good about it. I'd rather just go it on my own. I think that's because of previous experiences. The most notorious, and I don't know if you guys have played this, I'm assuming you have, in Resident Evil 4, you have to escort Ashley throughout the game.
I forgot about her though.
I hate her.
Is it the whole game?
Yeah, well, most of the game. You like separated every now and again, but she's completely useless. You know, she can't do anything with weapons. She gets hurt all the time. She gets carried off. She just sort of cowers in the corner if an enemy comes near her. You do play a section as her, and once again, she can't do anything. The only thing she can literally do is pick up like herbs and shotgun pellets and give them to Leon.
Yeah.
And her just the fact that she was just walking around behind me and getting caught and getting in the way, it just drove me mental. Actually, I really enjoyed the sections where she got captured and I was on my own for a bit. I was like, thank God, I can actually enjoy the game now. She's gone. Hopefully she's gone for good. She never was. That's
got to be one of the earliest. I mean, I was thinking back to like the Mega Drive era when you play Sonic 2 and one of like you'd have Tails following you. He wouldn't get stuck or anything, but technically he was a companion. But I think kind of an AI companion. I'm pretty sure Resident Evil 4 is probably one of the first ones, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, that's probably the one that sticks with me as being the worst, in my opinion. I've also got... she doesn't stick with you for the whole game, so I'm not sure if it 100% counts, but in Ocarina of Time, when you're in King Jabu Jabu's belly and you have to, like, take Princess...
carry her around.
Oh my God. Oh God, no.
That temple's renowned for being one of the worst in gaming history.
I'm not surprised, actually. Yeah. No, the whole fact of it just seems to be like these companions in earlier video games. Because the one that I did like, and I'm sure you guys liked, is in a newer video game. But in the earlier video games, it just seems that all the companions are there to literally slow you down, which of course makes sense if that's part of the game design. They want you to be vulnerable. Maybe you've got to a level where you're quite confident now in your skills and enemies don't really bother you, so they sort of attach you to someone who's weaker and who's a bit useless. But I just remember like going through that temple, and every time I had to pick her up and like carry her somewhere and put her down and fight someone off, and I was just like, this isn't enjoyable for me at all. Like I just feel like, well, I might as well just turn this off and come back to it and do it in 10-20 minute sections, because I literally could not stand playing in one long go. But I don't know.
Reminds me of you saying that of GoldenEye as well. There's a bit in GoldenEye. It's only one level where Natalia has to hack a computer, and you've got to stop the guards from shooting her. And I remember doing that on the hardest difficulty. It was such a pain just trying to protect her.
It's annoying, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I mean, they always seem to do it in sections of the video game where, like I said, you're quite confident and sort of nothing's a challenge anymore. It gets to the point where you can happily deal with every type of enemy the video game's thrown at you. But I just remember, doing so many sections in, with Ashley in Resident Evil 4 where there were Iron Maidens or there were just zombies everywhere, and she'd just sit in a corner, and I'd be like, can you not just follow me as I run strategically around the room? She'd just sit somewhere, and I'd have to keep going back to her, and it just drove me insane. But yeah, honestly, that's probably my worst one. But I did do this topic to include positive examples as well, not just absolutely rage that the people hate. But before we move on to that top positive companions, do you guys have anyone who you hated in video games being your companion? Or
I always remember in Star Fox hating Slippy Toad, but I just think everyone hates him. I think
they do.
Yeah. So like I say, I racked my brains a little bit, but I found it hard. Obviously I've spoken about my hate of Resident Evil 5 and having the kind of the co-op AI partner in that, who might be a bit more useful than Ashley in Resident Evil 4, but still a bit of a hindrance.
Still annoying.
Yeah. So that would be I can't think off the top of my head. I know that we should have planned this better, but not.
My favourite one is probably going to be Ellie in The Last of Us.
See, she's like on par with being my worst. Like she's
really,
she's also one of my worst.
I think I've had a good experience with like her AI.
She's invisible though, isn't she? So the enemies don't actually see her, which is a great bit of coding.
Unnerving.
It sounds like Nicole's had an issue.
Yeah,
she's just annoying. Like it was the bits where in The Last of Us where you're in the underground bit, like the train station.
Oh yeah,
and. Like, for me, I tried to do it where I just kind of went around the clickers without engaging them too much.
Mm.
And oh my gosh, it unnerves me. I know that it doesn't directly have an effect, but it doesn't stop me being nervous
When
when
she
I'm
walks
trying
out.
to be like, yeah, when she just pops out and I'm like, girl, what you doing? Huh? Like, it really bugs me. Oh,
I just felt that like she was like quite helpful. You know, if you ever got into an altercation, she'd come and stab them in the back, and that also leads into Uncharted 4, where you could fight with Sam or with Eleanor, and they would, you know, you do combos together as a team.
oh,
I felt like I was being supported rather than being dragged down.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I think for me it would be, and I mean, obviously that extends to the Lost Legacy with Nadine and Chloe. I just felt like I was working in a team, and I liked having those guys as companions. It
Yeah.
always made me feel like even if I was in a massive gunfight, I was like, oh, okay, well, someone else is shooting too, and they'd actually take people down. It wasn't
Yeah.
just, I feel like in Resident Evil 5, it was like they shot a zombie 50 times and eventually they got it. And they'd be like, I got one. It's like, well,
Yeah.
eventually, yeah, you did.
I do
I
think.
suppose it's all down to how it's implemented, though, isn't it? Because,
Mm.
like you say, with these frustrating ones, they don't provide much help. But whereas you get, like, in Uncharted and The Last of Us, and specifically in God of War, which I've been watching my boyfriend play, I love how, like, the characters that you're with, like, there's that character development, and that as their kind of bond blossoms, they get better at helping you.
Yeah,
Like,
that's a good
I
point.
love that. Like, obviously, Ellie initially, she isn't that helpful, but as you get to the end of the game and these characters are more kind of connected with one another, they get better. And the same with God of War, where obviously Atreus kind of gets braver. He helps you more in battle. So I suppose a lot of it is down to how it's implemented. And, like, it's really good now that in games they can kind of portray not only kind of a relationship blossoming, but it also helps and, you know, makes the gameplay easier for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it must be a nightmare to code to kind of try and
God.
mirror human attributes and
Yeah.
kind of thought processes onto an AI character. So I can imagine that as that improves, then co-op characters or partner characters will get cleverer and more helpful. But I suppose that's why most of the annoying ones would be the older ones, just because the knowledge to be able to code that wasn't great, maybe.
Yeah.
So
And I guess in a way you've got to kind of give them credit for, I guess, making you feel annoyed in the first place, because then they're getting something out of you. In Resident Evil 4, the way that Ashley reacts to enemies is the way that any of us would react to these aberrations. You know what I mean? They're mutated, they're screaming, they're coming towards you. Her reaction is the reaction that you would expect. But because we're so used to this video game code of everyone's, a hero, and if they're in this world, they're not scared of anything, it sort of irritates us a bit to be like, well, I'm playing this video game, and yet this character is acting the way a video game character
Like,
shouldn't act.
man up.
Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
I mean, I don't know. I do definitely prefer to read the back of a game and it to state, you'll go through this solo, this is your own game, you won't be aided. Even if that makes it a little bit more difficult, I think there's something nice about just being dependent on yourself rather than having to be like, oh, we've got these characters I've got to look after. And in Resident Evil 5, you have to make sure that you give them your health and your ammo.
yeah.
And it feels like a bit of a waste. It's like, I earned that, but there you go, AI. You
Yeah.
take my herbs.
You
and
waste it.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey Nick, what about Clank though?
I did wonder
Literally,
about that.
I was just going on, like, I was literally going to say, so I was going to say, I don't know if you could count it as your kind of traditional
No, go for it.
companionship, in respect that, obviously, 90% of the time they're one character, but I like the fact that it's implemented in a way where they have this companionship, so you have that kind of poignancy in the storyline because it's a friendship that the story's kind of focused on. But I think it's great that it kind of breaks down the gameplay, because obviously the way you get to play as both is they all go into, like, obviously you play as, like, Clank sections and Ratchet sections. And I like how that's implemented, and I think for that reason, just because neither are really a hindrance, or they don't kind of, stagger the pace of the gameplay because they're a pain in the ass to trek around everywhere. I'd say they're one of my favourite companionships. I'm not fangirling or anything, but
Not biased at all there, yeah.
no, not at all. But yeah, I think that's a good kind of I'd say it's more primitive compared to, like, the likes of what you see in the Lost Legacy, where they kind of really develop throughout the game. But I still think it's really, really good. Really good.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think it's based. What word was that? I think it's based on how it's put in the video game. because there would have been so many people who would have played those Resident Evil games and been like, oh, this is quite fun, like protecting someone, and it makes you more alert. You've got to be more aware of where the enemies are coming from. But then there's people like me who are just like, this is annoying. Can I not just leave her here and just get on with the rest of the game? But then, you know, I quite enjoyed the way that the companionship worked in Uncharted 4, and I liked the way that it worked in The Last of Us. I guess my main reason for this topic was because I was interested, I've not played it myself, to know how Arceus played in God of War, because obviously does he shoot enemies from afar?
Yeah, but he gets progressively better. So like, he starts like jumping on them and kind of like effectively rendering them useless. So if you're going against like a kind of group of enemies, he actually becomes quite useful a couple of hours in, because he starts like holding them back with their bow. And like obviously if you're taking on loads of enemies, it's good to kind of dwindle the numbers so you don't have to focus on all of them. You can kind of, you know, it's more strategic that way. I like it. It's really, really good.
Yeah, because I mean, I heard somebody say that you know, they hate video game companions. They hate them. But they were really interested in God of War, and then they played God of War, and they said to me, honestly, it's probably the best example of a video game companion, because they don't get in the way. You can sort of do attacks, and you know, they're over there doing their own thing, and they do actually help you. There's so many times in Resident Evil 5 where I've literally shot my companion in the face because she's got in the way of a shot, and that annoys me because I've wasted. Just so I mean, like, it makes me so angry.
Yeah, so in God of War, he's pretty much... You don't really see him. But like Nick says, all of a sudden it'll pop up and he'll be jumping on someone. So he doesn't physically... You never get caught on him, which is good, I suppose.
Well, it sounds like it's getting better then. You know what I mean? The implementation of them. It sounds like, as you know, we go through the video game future, it sounds like they're understanding that people do get annoyed if they have to be the savior. People do get annoyed if their partner just... Because I admit, Nick, I was in the same boat. I've been in a house in The Last of Us, and Ellie's just got up and walked around, and I'm like, there's enemies right there.
They do it. She just gets up and she's like trying to find cover, and I'm like, girl, you had cover, stay in the cover. Like, what the
like hell? People, like, because it makes you nervous. So I get, you know, developers have obviously taken all that into consideration, and if we're looking at examples like Arceus in God of War, and it's played out really well, and everybody, even people who don't like video game companions, like him and like the way that he's implemented, then hopefully, you know, I'll be all for the video game companions in the future if they're going to be as independent as they are becoming, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, be interesting to see if The Last of Us Part 2 has a companionship or not. I'm looking forward to seeing more at E3.
That would be.
Yeah, I'm sure it will.
I think that's about it, though, for that topic.
Cool. Yeah. No, it's good. And I'm sure we've skirted around the edge of something that's probably far bigger, and probably missed off a lot of companions that are either really obvious or in big games that we've just not played. So, as always, reply to the tweet that you saw the podcast on and shout us any companions that you think you like or dislike, or memories of companions that have annoyed you, I suppose. So yeah, cool, good one, well done, Rebecca. That was lots in there. Kind of bailed me and Nick out.
That's all right. I feel bad about that. I'll do one next week just for you guys.
Cool.
So kind.
So user questions.
Yes, it is time for user questions. So our first one is from Rude Cold, who asks what our favourite mini games are within games.
Oh, now I've got to dig round in the brain.
Do you want me to kickstart it? Because I've got mine like...
Yeah, go for it.
I was really torn for this question, because obviously where I play quite a few platformers, they're always integrated into platforming. The first one obviously is Ratchet and Clank, because they have really good like the gadget kind of mini games.
Yeah.
So more specifically, I love the electrolyzer ones in Ratchet and Clank 2, and they used to drive me absolutely like bonkers as a kid. But now I play and my more mature adult brain's like, yeah, I got this. But also, I've been recently playing Sly Cooper Thieves in Time, and I love the hacking mini games in that.
Oh yeah, they're cool.
They are so different from the actual game itself, and I love that kind of that break in the gameplay. It's really, really good. And I think they've actually brought out a standalone Vita kind of collection of the hacker games, because they were just that much of an asset to the game itself. So I need to pick that up now. But yeah, you guys done picking your brains?
Yeah, so one that jumps to mind, well, I don't know if it's the best minigame, but because it's not really a minigame, but I liked the crash level in Uncharted 4. That was quite cool that they actually included a proper game inside a game. So it's kind of like game Inception. So kind of another example of that is Shenmue, which I know I bring up every week. But you can buy discs for, I think it's a Sega Saturn that he has in the house. Or he has a machine in his house, so you can kind of play Space Harrier and Outrun and stuff like that. So it's quite cool that there's real games inside games, kind of. Mini games wise though, I can't really remember any. Like you say about the hacker games in Sly, in Near Automata, there's the hacking mini games as well on the second playthrough, which are quite cool. Kind of twin stick shooting. But
it's tricky to define it, isn't it?
Yeah, off the top of my head, because that's more of a gameplay element than a mini game.
Yeah. Off
the top of my head, I really can't think of anything though. Can you, Becky?
I can think of a few. I don't know if, once again, they classify as mini games. In Okami HD, you have to sort of like dig for treasure, and it's timed, and if you land on spikes, you minus a life. So I don't know if that sort of classifies as it. Aside from that, I quite liked, in Animal Crossing, was it the GameCube edition, where you could buy the NES cartridges and you could play like Exciter Bike and Donkey Kong.
That's cool. Yeah, so similar. Game
I quite liked that. But yeah, it's quite. I think obviously then there's like fishing in Zelda. Loads of people classify that as sort of like a mini game because it's sort of a mini challenge within the game. But yeah, it's quite a lot. I bet there's loads.
Yeah, loads of games have got fishing.
I used to hate when I was younger though.
You used to hate it?
Yeah, well, like mini games within games, because I look back now to like games like Spyro or Hero's Tale, where you had to use the cannon to get like the eggs and stuff, and in Jak and Daxter, where you have to catch the fish. All those mini games are all things that put me off games, like way back when, because I used to hate that. I always used to be fine going through the story, and I'd be like, "Oh, here's a mini game." I'd be like, "Well, I can't get past that." What's going on? Hated it.
I just give in.
Rob, what do you think of mini games?
Why, thank you, Dan. My favourite minigames are in the Yakuza series, so from playing full-on Sega arcade classics such as Virtua Fighter 5, to crazy minigames such as being a sets line operative and the karaoke. My favourite though in Yakuza 6 was the Chat Cafe. You basically perform a series of quick time events which translate on screen as Kiru chatting to a real Japanese adult movie star as she relaxes and begins to undress. They also used real girls via FMV video, so that was pretty fun that they used real people to interact with the game as part of a minigame. I also love the Hostess Club management game and the Landlord minigame in Yakuza 0 and the clan battles in Yakuza 6 recently. One of the big things that drew me into the Yakuza series, apart from the story, which is absolutely amazing, is all these extra side missions and mini games that you can take part in. And like I said, they have full-on Sega arcades where they have real Sega classics all crammed into the game. But anyway, back over to you guys.
Okay, let's move on to our next one. Sean One Neo asks, what games do you like to play when led on the beach? Now, personally, I can't answer this because I can't remember the last time I actually stepped foot on a beach. So I'll hand over to you guys.
The problem you have on a beach is that if it's sunny, you can't see the screen. So, because I've tried to take my Vita, well, I wasn't on a beach, but like on holiday around the pool, try and play the Vita, it just doesn't work. So I don't tend to play games in the sun, which is a bit of a rubbish answer as well. So
I think the only time I've ever played a game on the beach was when, and it wasn't very, very long because I was on a beach and it's England and it's never warm. So I wanted to enjoy the beach. But when Animal Crossing New Leaf first came out, was that 2013 it came out? We went to...
Who knows?
I don't know. We went to a beach somewhere and I was like, oh, I can't... in those initial stages of a new game where you just have to play all the time.
Yeah.
I think I just played about 30 minutes of Animal Crossing on a beach, but I was like, I want to actually get in the sea now and hang out on the beach.
Yeah.
But yeah, the screen is a big issue, isn't it?
Yeah. Sorry, Sean.
I think that that would be the sort of game you would play, though, wouldn't it? It'd be like Stardew or Harvest Moon or
Yeah.
Animal Crossing, something kind of really mellow, because you don't want to get like sweaty hands when you get really kind of into an intense game.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, Sean Mania also asks if any of us have intentions to check out the Onrush beta, but obviously I know we touched upon it vaguely in the news, but obviously I think the only one of us that has a really keen interest is Rob, who's got a key, and I'm sure when he finds time he'll put his thoughts on Twitter when he gets around to playing it.
Yeah.
So,
I don't think, like I said in the news, I'm not too fussed. I'm not going to be rushing to buy it.
That pun intended.
Yeah, sorry. Got to fill in for Joe somewhere.
oh dear, dad jokes. Right, so excuse me if I say this wrong. Cutlapapu asks if you could move an existing IP or series to another developer, which would it be and why? He says personally he'd like to see Mass Effect in the hands of Naughty Dog for a more streamlined story experience. What do you guys think?
On that could be cool, kind of a Naughty Dog space game, I suppose, but I expect he's asking us to actually pick an IP, isn't he? I've said it before that I'd like Rocksteady to make a Wonder Woman game. So I know Wonder Woman isn't an existing IP, but I do think Rocksteady could do an awesome Wonder Woman game. But with regards to kind of bringing back an old IP, have we touched on this before? What would...
I don't know.
I'm sure there's something...
It sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah. Now...
Yeah.
Again, there's so many games. I think we may have talked about it when we talked about Sega, because something like Streets of Rage would be cool if Platinum Games could do like almost a 3D action version of Streets of Rage. That would be pretty awesome. Let's go with that for my answer.
What about you, Becky?
Gosh, I'm a bit lost on this one. Do you have anything, Nicole, that you can jump in on, or?
Again, it's a hard one to think about, but I'd say just in light of my disappointment with it, I'd love to see Yooka-Laylee in the hands of, like, say, Insomniac Games, because they're, like, my most trusted developer when it comes to platformers, and I think they could have really kind of turned Yooka-Laylee into the platform experience everyone was hoping for. Like, I know technically you could just say the entirety of Rare could have come together to make, like, you know, a spiritual successor to Banjo, but I'd like to see Insomniac's kind of finesse, you know, echoed through it, because I literally respect them so much as developers for the amount of enjoyment they've given me as a kid. But
I got a controversial one. I'd quite like it if Metal Gear Solid could be made by Kojima Productions rather than Konami.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just give it back to him.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But yeah, that's tough. What we might
That's
do
a really hard question.
Yeah, can we bank that and maybe have a think and
yeah, sure.
like,
Come back to it.
return to that with
put on
some
the
proper
list.
answers? Yeah, that would be cool. Good question.
Otherwise, we're not doing him justice, are we?
No.
Not necessarily. Right, so next we have Joe Robinson, who asks, if you could add a new feature to the PS4, what would it be? Please don't say name change. Now, I'm pretty sure we've touched upon this before.
We should all say hello to Joe, though, because he's not been mentioned on the podcast for a while. Long time listener. He's been around since the start, hasn't he? Hey, Joe. Sorry. I just wanted to get that in there because he's been a supporter for a long time.
He has,
Yeah. I don't know. I think PS4 currently caters for all my needs. Like, I just kind of stand by my thoughts that I only wish there was a kind of stronger bonds between Vita and PS4. Like, I'm not sure if that's necessarily like a feature, but because off the top of my head, I can't think of what could be added on top of remote play. But it's definitely kind of something I'd like to see elaborated on, because I'm all in favour of the Vita seeing a bit more love. So
Definitely.
I feel like I hate the with everything, you know, when you get a new phone and you have those apps you can't delete. I hate that you can't get rid of those. I can't think what they're called off the top of my head.
Playroom is one of them, isn't it?
Yeah. I
Oh
just
my God.
because I wish as well that there was a way of like customizing it so that every time you opened a new app, it didn't push it to the front. If you know what I mean.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
annoying. Yeah.
I'd rather have it that all my games were at the front, and then maybe the capture, because I look at that quite a lot because I take a few screenshots, and then everything else that I don't use, I could either delete or I could hide, because it annoys me that if I accidentally click on it, it's at the front of my lineup, and I have to play every other game in my library to get them back to how they were before. I think that's probably the only thing.
Yeah.
Because I think probably the biggest feature of PS4, or one of the biggest and most popular features from this gen, is the share button, isn't it? And I think maybe when we were all gaming on PS3, none of us would have really ever thought about that. It's kind of almost because of the growth of social media, I suppose, it's kind of coming from left field. So I think it's quite hard to maybe predict or think of something because it's almost not our job. Like Becky says, I would like the UI to be changed a bit. I'd quite like it if you had maybe 3 rows. So the top one was games, the middle one was settings, and the bottom one was something else. Just kind of mix it up a bit, just to make it a bit more intuitive. Because the bar gets so long at times that it just becomes a bit of a mess. Deleting things would be good. It would be quite nice if there was an option to have your background randomly pick screenshots from your share file.
Oh, that's cool.
That would be really, really good.
But again, it's not a massive feature. That would just be like a tweak, but it would be quite cool.
Yeah, I was thinking, like the folder feature, you can't like add an image at the front of it, can you?
No, so that square at the that would be awesome.
Well, that would be nice, wouldn't it? If you could have a screenshot for like kind of, to use a screenshot or an image that's on your PlayStation that you could, import via USB or whatever.
Yeah.
You could use that as like the cover for a folder. I think that'd be quite nice.
Yeah, that would be good. Because even things like that I've only really started using recently is the pause and resume. So rather than turning the PlayStation off, I've kind of just put it to sleep and then picked up again a couple of hours later from where I was, which I never really used to start with, but now I've started using that and kind of discovered that works. And I don't know, like you say, that it kind of, I feel like it's a perfect fit for my lifestyle and how I use it at the moment. I can't imagine anything new that would be like, oh wow, I can't believe we didn't have this.
That's what I mean. I don't sit there on PS4 thinking, oh my god, I wish they had this, I wish they had that. I'd never kind of hit that hurdle. I've never kind of sat there thinking it could be more for me.
No. I mean, booting games from a USB, maybe, but I upgraded my hard drive to 2 terabyte. I've never needed to like move things around, so
same.
there's lots of things that they have catered for. So, be interesting to know if Joe had any ideas, because he didn't include them on his question. But I don't know. Yeah, even things down to like customizable faceplates and all that kind of rubbish. It's I don't want any of that. I just want it's about the games, isn't it? The best and quickest way to get to your games. So yeah, no.
Okay.
Cool. Good question though.
That's a good one. Right, so our last question this week is from Gamer with a Beard, who asks, if you were stuck on an island with only 5 games, which games would they be? Rebecca, if you don't say Bloodborne, I'm going to doubt. I'm
obviously going to say Bloodborne. 5 games, okay. Bloodborne, definitely. Ooh, that's quite tricky because if you're stuck there forever, you want something that isn't going to be repetitive. Probably. Oh, this is hard. Probably The Last of Us, just because that's a great game. Probably something like The Last Guardian as well. I haven't played that in about a year maybe, so that might be a good time to get back into it. Actually look at all the secrets and everything I missed, because I think I only covered like 5% of the trophies for the entire game.
Yeah.
I'd like to have... Just try and have a big... Sorry, I'm being like the slowest person. At least I hope you guys are like getting your answers ready.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
No, that's what I've got mine.
Maybe something like Journey, just so I can relax. The sand dunes, feel a little bit at home. And then I would probably have to have an indie game like Inside or something. Just something that no matter how many times I play it, I'm still absolutely shocked by it, and I'm still really drawn into it. So yeah, those 5. I can't remember what I said because it took me so long to say them. But those 5, wherever they were.
What about you, Dan?
Yeah, it's really hard. And also, because I tend to finish my games, to pick 5 games that I've already finished is difficult, because then I wouldn't ever play them. But just to answer the question, I suppose, so I'd probably take No Man's Sky, so that I can pretend to get off the island and travel around space and kind of escape to different worlds. I'd have to take Shenmue, because it's
Yeah.
one of my favourites. I bang on about it all the time. I'll take Last of Us Part 2 if Naughty Dog would let me have an early version, because I've done
If you're
the,
stuck on an island, you're owed to that.
yeah, well, I've done the first one so many times that I don't know if I could be bothered to do it again, but I definitely want to be able to see what happens in the second one. So, a bit of a dodgy answer that, but there you go. As much as I don't like playing FIFA, I'd probably take FIFA because it's a game that never ends. And then if someone does turn up, at least we've got a multiplayer game to play together.
That's true.
And finally, let's say, I'll just look at what I've got. Let's go back to driving game. I'll take Drive Club because again, you can play it and get good at it, and you don't finish it. You can keep improving your lap times and stuff. So kind of a good mixture there. That's what I'd say.
That's quite good. Right. I'd have to take Ratchet and Clank 2 and Croc just for that platformer fix. And they make me happy, and I'm sure if I was stuck on an island, I wouldn't be very happy. So, I'd need some kind of something to enjoy. I'd take Pokemon Gold, just because I know I could play that over and over again. I've played it so many times.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. I'm with you, Dan, on No Man's Sky, because in being stuck on an island, I'd probably have time to visit every location in it.
Yeah.
So that would be that logic there. And I'd probably say Bioshock just to kind of mix things up, because I really love playing it through. And I love how dark and sinister it is. And, it's kind of nice against all the more light-hearted games I picked. So, but cool. Yeah.
I think we should all tweet ours with a hashtag, something like Desert Island Games.
Yeah.
I think you said something like that.
See if we can get some other people's input. That'd be cool. See if people start quoting it and tweeting it and stuff.
We should do that.
Yeah, let's break the internet. I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah, that'd be good. Right, so that's it for the usual questions. So thank you to everyone who asked, and remember, you don't have to wait for the tweet. Just ask us during the week, and we'll keep a backlog of it. So we'll just get round to them. But yeah, you guys ready for what we've been playing?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so now it's time for what we've been playing this week. Who wants to get things started?
Oh my gosh, I can't remember what I talked about what I was playing the last time we recorded.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to just say exactly the same thing.
All right, I can. Well, I'm going to go to PSN profiles
and check
/ my PS username, because I can tell you what I've been playing. So definitely been playing God of War. I'm still probably not very far in it. I won't say where I am because it might spoil it, but I'd probably say 10 hours maybe. I'd hazard a guess. And my feelings are still kind of the same as they were when we spoke about it last time, so the few niggles still, but overall it's pretty good. I have also me and Lisa played a little bit more of A Way Out. We kind of dip in and out of it, and we'll play it for a few hours and be like, oh, that was so good, let's play it again tomorrow, and then a week later and we're like, oh, we haven't played it. So it's still really good, and I've seen it really cheap now as well at places. But yeah, still not finished it, but I still speak highly of it. I've played League of Evil, which is a PS Vita and PS4, I think it's cross-buy game, and it's basically a really, really hard platformer. So I can't liken it. There's probably loads of games like it, and there's probably a name for it, but I can't remember. But basically the level is pretty much a screen, or just a bit bigger than a screen, and it's timed, so you've got to get to the end to get 3 stars in a certain time, but you die over and over again, and you just restart. So it's kind of like you'll jump, you'll get shot, you'll die, you'll respawn, you'll hit spikes, and you kind of got to get the timings and the jumping right. So it's a bit like Hotline Miami, but rather than as a top-down murderer, it's more of a side-on platformer.
Okay.
But it's pretty good, easy platinum. So yeah, that's it though. Literally, that's all I've been playing really.
Okay.
Sadly.
What about you, Becky?
So I think last time we talked, I don't know. I feel really sorry if anyone's listening to this and like you've just talked about this already. But I think last time I talked, I finished The Evil Within. So I'm now about 8 hours into The Evil Within 2, which I'm really enjoying. I'm so glad that I sounds really silly, but I'm really glad I played them in order, if you know what I mean. Because obviously I hadn't got The Evil Within when The Evil Within 2 came out. And part of me was like, well, maybe I could just like do a bit of research about the first one, play the second one. But I was like, no, I'll play both of them, and I'll play them in order. And everybody had said to me, you'll enjoy the second one a lot more than the first one. And I don't think I would have fully appreciated that if I'd not done it in the right order, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So the first one's obviously, it's made in 2014, so it shows its age. It's a little bit laggy, a little bit story's a bit sort of all over the place. The second one is just amazing. They've obviously taken into account the classical horror tropes. They've taken into account the way that scares work. They've made them and manipulated the environment so that everything is a little bit uneasy. You're not really sure what's going on. The enemies are a lot more aggressive in this one than they are in the first one, and you've got less ammo, I think, in this one than the first one. So it feels that much more important to stay out of the way, to stay hidden and stuff. There's a lot of optional areas, which I quite like. So, you know, obviously it's the classic, you know, because it's optional, it's going to be dangerous, but it's going to reap good rewards. So do you go there, do you not? And I've been going to these optional areas and then being terrified because I get stuck in there with a ghost and I can't leave and she can't be killed and she's making noises and it's coming through my controller. It builds on the horror so well. So I'm only about, I want to hazard a guess and say I'm about 8-9 hours into the game. So I'm maybe roughly about halfway through, but I'm really enjoying it. I'm, you know, really enjoy the setting. I think that the character development has progressed a lot more since the first one. The boss fights are a lot more smooth. Everything flows a lot better. You know, the running animations, the shotgun, you know, reloading, it all feels a lot less jaggy. That's a word.
Yeah.
Feels like it's been, you know, really thought into how, you know, would this look if it was a movie? You know what I mean? So yeah, I've been playing that. I'm really enjoying it. I enjoyed it so much that I wrote a piece about the two games as a whole as having, you know, really strong psychological horror elements and the horror tropes, but how these horror tropes weren't overdone. So I wrote a piece about that went up yesterday. But yeah, I'm just looking forward to getting back into it once I finish this exam period and actually being able to sit down and enjoy it and finish the game. But yeah, after that, I haven't really. I guess a lot of people are looking forward to Detroit now. But I'm sort of a bit. I don't really know, so I think I'm going to try and elongate this playthrough, try to explore everything because I haven't got anything coming up that I want to play desperately.
Yeah. Do you not think you'll get God of War then? Or you
God
will?
of War? Don't think so. Not yet. I don't know. I feel like I've missed that. I didn't get the hype. I know all of you guys. And I know you, Dan, you were a bit like me when you weren't 100% sure, but I can't fathom myself buying a game that I'm just not interested in, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I know a few people at work who said that they'll lend me a copy if I do get to a point where I'm like, well, I might give it a go. But at the minute, it's like saying to me, oh, you're not going to get FIFA then, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I'm very happy that it's been so successful, and I'm really happy for the developers for how successful it's been, and I'm glad that everyone else is enjoying it. But I think for me, it's just I'm not on the hype train, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm not too excited, and I'm not too excited about Detroit either, which is something I thought I would be excited about.
Yeah, I'm
Really?
not getting that. Something about it is just yeah.
I'm assuming by your reply then, Nicole, that you're sort of shocked by that.
I think I'm just shocked because it's you, not because I'm kind of with Dan. I'm not in a rush to play it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with me right now. I don't know if my head is just full with like English and media terminology and I can't focus on anything else. But, you know, once I finish my university degree, it might be different, and I might be like, I've got to play God of War now and I want to play Detroit. But I think if I'm going to get anything upcoming, I'm going to get Dark Souls 1 remastered. Even that's a little bit of a not too sure because I haven't even finished Dark Souls 3 yet, and I'd have to play Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 1, so do I just play them in reverse order? I don't know. I'm a bit on the fence at the minute about Detroit. I think it looks good. I really enjoyed what I did get to play of it at the demo last year at EGX, but I didn't really like Beyond Two Souls. I loved Heavy Rain, but I didn't like Beyond Two Souls, so I'm a bit, I guess my overall feeling about those two games is in the middle, so I'm in the middle about Detroit at the minute.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of the opposite in that respect. Like, I'm a bit hesitant about getting it because I really, really enjoyed Beyond Two Souls. Like, I absolutely loved it. It had me in tears. And I'm kind of a bit apprehensive that perhaps Detroit won't live up to the kind of experience I had with Beyond. I know it's a different game and I shouldn't necessarily directly compare them. But I am a bit hesitant because it's the same kind of experience, and I'm just worried that it won't amount to everything that Beyond was for me.
Maybe that's why I'm a bit not too sure.
Yeah.
Don't know.
Yeah.
What have you been playing anyway, Nicole?
Oh yeah, no.
Got a bit of topic
right.
there.
No. Right. So, oh gosh, I've been playing loads. I'll try and condense it. I've been playing. Well, I've been after like a Yu-Gi-Oh fix for absolutely ages because I used to love the old games on like PS2, Game Boy Advance, and I was a big fan of like owning the cards in the anime when I was younger. And Lloyd, one of our contributors, introduced me to the Legacy of the Duelist, which I didn't even realise was on PlayStation 4. I didn't actually have the money. It went, the big in Japan sale?
Yeah.
Yeah, it got knocked down to at least half in that sale, and I was really gutted because I didn't have the money at the time. But Claire Gaming, you know him, don't you?
Yeah, Claire 88.
Yeah, he was kind enough to give me a code so I could pick it up whilst it was in the sale.
Oh, awesome.
So I was. It's really, really good. I'm absolutely loving it. It's got a campaign, which is really, really fun to play because it kind of mirrors the anime itself. So you get to play that through, use decks from different characters that are in it, or you get to make your own deck, and it's just really addictive. And it was kind of the fix I was after. I've been over on my Vita trying to, muster the patience to platinum Ratchet and Clank 2, and it's driving me absolutely nuts because Vita games don't get the TLC they deserve, and Ratchet and Clank 2 was an absolutely god awful port. It bugs, it freezes my Vita, and where they've not kind of catered the gameplay to the console, it's just been a generic port. The analogs are way oversensitive for some of the the ship mini game things. So like with the ship battles, you can't. It's really hard to navigate through the circles to get the platinum bolts because the analogs are far too oversensitive, and it's been driving me nuts. I've been trying to muster the patience, but I need to have a break in between doing it because it's driving me bonkers. Yeah. But I've also jumped back to PS3, which obviously I was talking to you guys about before. But I've been really disgusted by my completion rates. I think where I've been so concerned with just finishing games to, bring down my backlog, I've let my completion in games just really slip, and it's really annoyed me. So I've gone back to Platinum Sly Cooper Thieves in Time, which I did earlier, and it's just literally one of my favourite game series, and I love the opportunity to kind of jump in and reminisce. It was in really good hands because obviously it was handed over to Sanzaru for Thieves in Time, and I just love what they brought to the series. And I was fortunate when I went back, I only had to do a bit of kind of collectible rounding up. So it only took like a couple of days and like a couple of hour kind of sessions to do. But I've got the plat, I'm really happy, and it's just left me craving a new Sly game. Like, why is there not a new Sly game? Where has it gone?
Might be one coming.
Not hip enough, I think. Yeah. I don't know, because that Thieves in Time was brilliant, wasn't it? Because I remember
fantastic.
They re-released the kind of originals, didn't they? And then they released Thieves in Time, or the other way around. But they kind of, within a year or a year and a half or so, that you could play them all again.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do wonder why. Maybe there will be something. I don't know. With all this kind of bringing back old platform heroes, maybe Sly will be one. Thing is, we have had a remaster, so a kind of a brand new game would be good, rather than just releasing the originals again. I don't think that's needed, but a brand new one could be awesome.
Yeah, I hope it's something they consider in future at least, because I really liked, Thieves in Time was such a step up. Like, it didn't it kept everything that was good about the game, but it just expanded on it, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I'm honestly really surprised, considering it's like one of PlayStation's like mascots, if you will. I'm quite surprised it's not seen something on PS4 yet.
Yeah, I agree. I do wonder maybe if there's another PlayStation All-Stars game, they might add characters and then try and gauge people's feelings towards specific characters in that, as to whether they feel that a reboot would be worthy. Because I'm sure he was in the original one as well, but maybe if they released a new All-Stars with these kind of, I don't know, Croc wasn't in the original, but you know what I mean, kind of dig up some old classics and then see what people kind of
Well,
think.
yeah, because they put all the in Infamous, they had all the kind of nods to Thieves in Time and that, didn't they? Obviously,
Yes.
the ringtone was the main theme. They had like all the neon lights of the Sly Cooper kind of mask symbol. Like, I loved all of that, and I'm just honestly, I thought with that was like a hint. It's like, guys, don't worry, it's coming. But obviously, they had the movie and that, and that didn't end up coming out.
I wonder if there's going to be any Sly Cooper Easter eggs in Spider-Man.
Oh,
Might be.
Because am I right in thinking that? No, hold on.
I'm trying to think.
No, Spider-Man's. Sorry, that's Insomniac.
Insomniac, yeah.
Sucker Punch. What are Sucker Punch
Although,
making?
saying that, Sucker Punch do.
What
What have they done?
Oh, they're
They've done
doing
something.
Ghost. They're doing Ghost, aren't they? Ghost
Yeah.
in. I can't remember how you pronounce the second word.
Yeah, that one.
So yeah, they are busy, I suppose.
But saying that, there's nods in Thieves in Time to like Jack and Daxter and Insomniac because they're kind of like the trio of
The Holy Grail. Yeah.
yeah, literally. So they've got like in what's it called in Sly? They've got one of the Easter eggs is you get to use a Ratchet's wrench at the end, and one of the collectibles is a Daxter kind of statue. So I don't know. Maybe it would be nice.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. You can live in hope, Nick.
I can. Forever hoping.
Cool.
But yeah.
So we're pretty much going to be bang on the hour, so we might as well move towards wrapping up this episode. Before we go, just give a quick reminder to everyone about SQXO May. My memory doesn't serve me brilliantly, but I don't think we've even announced what the prize is, and we're 15 days into May. That's how busy we've kind of been.
Gosh.
So I can't remember off the top of my head what we've got. We have definitely got prizes to give away, so keep an eye on Twitter and we'll announce that in the next couple of days. But in the meantime, when you're sharing your PS4 screenshots, just add the hashtag SQXOMay. That automatically enters you into the competition, and at the end of the month we will pick our favourite image to put to a public poll. So yeah, keep your eyes out for the prize, keep sharing those screens. You don't need to @ us, just use that hashtag. And yeah, that's kind of sadly the only competition we've got at the moment. Maybe we'll have some more giveaways soon. And with that, I suppose we'll wrap up. As with the start of the show, don't forget to follow us on Twitter, visit our website, we're on YouTube, we're on Twitch, we're on Patreon, all that kind of stuff. Just Google SquareXO, I'm sure it all comes up. Yeah, and with that, have a great week. Hopefully we'll be back next week, and speak to you then. Thanks, guys.
So long, farewell, our readers, and good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.